A Zen scripture that points directly to the mind, a brief explanation of the Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra. Introduction. Bodhidharma crosses the sea to transmit the mind seal. Among the vast and boundless collection of Buddhist scriptures, there is one sutra that shares the deepest connection with the Zen school. According to records, when Bodhidharma, the first patriarch of Zen, crossed the sea from India to China. At the time he transmitted the patriarchal robe and Dharma to his successor, the second patriarch, Huike, he also entrusted him with a scripture. Bodhidharma said to Huike, "I have the Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra in 4 rolls, which I now also transmit to you." This is the essential teaching of the Tathāgata's mind, enabling all sentient beings to open, show, awaken to, and enter the truth. This scripture is the Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra. The Laṅkāvatāra Sutra, whose full title is the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra, is a scripture that emerged during the period of Mahayana Buddhism in India. It is also a sacred text venerated in common by both the Dharmalaka school, consciousness-only, Yogācāra school, and the Zen school in China. It is not only one of the theoretical sources of Yogācāra studies, but also the doctrinal basis for the Zen school's principle of a special transmission outside the teachings, not established on words. If we say the Diamond Sutra discusses destroying appearances, and the Vimalakirti Sutra discusses entering the world, then the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra discusses the mind ground, directly probing the source of sentient beings' minds and revealing the truth that all phenomena are only manifestations of the mind. 1. Explanation of the title. The Buddha enters a demon's cave. The title of the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra has a rather dramatic quality. Lak is a transliteration of the Sanskrit word lak, referring to an island mountain off the coast of southern India. Traditionally said to be the palace where the 10-headed Rakasa king dwelled, Rakasa, a type of demon or titan. This place is dangerous and difficult to enter, inaccessible to ordinary people. Avatāra means entering or descent, and can also imply unsurpassed. Ratna Sutra is an honorific title meaning precious scripture. Therefore, the literal meaning of Laṅkāvatāra Ratna Sutra is the unsurpassed precious scripture spoken by the Buddha upon entering Lak Island. The choice of a demon's lair, a realm of ghosts and titans, as the setting for expounding the Dharma carries profound meaning. It suggests that the most profound truth of the Dharma is precisely revealed in the places of greatest delusion and danger. This implies that the afflictions and attachments within the minds of sentient beings are exactly where awakening arises. The protagonists of the sutra are Sakyamuni Buddha as the expounder, and the interrogator is a bodhisattva named Mahamati. Mahamati means great wisdom. This bodhisattva represents all sentient beings, asking the Buddha about the most essential questions of practice. 2. Translation versions. 3 Chinese translations. The Laṅkāvatāra Sutra was translated into Chinese 4 times throughout history, with 3 versions still extant, each with its own characteristics. First translation, Laṅkāvatāra Sutra, Laṅkāvatāra Ratna Sutra, in 4 fascicles, translated by Gwabhadra, in 443 CE. This is the earliest extant Chinese translation, also known as the Song translation or the 4-fascicle Lak. Its language is archaic and concise, valuing meaning over literary elegance. This is precisely the version that Bodhidharma transmitted to Huike, making it the foundational scripture of the Zen school. Later Zen masters, such as Sunkan, Daoxin, and Hongren, all used this sutra to seal the mind, confirm enlightenment. Second translation, Ru Lag Sutra, Laṅkāvatāra Sutra, in 10 fascicles, translated by Bodhirusi, in 513 CE. Also known as the Wei translation, its translation is relatively detailed, but the length is considerably increased. Third translation, Dasheng Ru Lag Sutra, Mahayana Laṅkāvatāra Sutra, in 7 fascicles, translated by Ignanda, between 700 to 704 CE. Also known as the Tang translation. Completed under the patronage of Empress Wu Zetian, this version has a smooth and elegant literary style and clear doctrine, and is regarded as the most complete and refined Chinese translation. Besides the Chinese translations, the original Sanskrit text, discovered in Nepal, and a Tibetan translation also exist. 3. Core teachings, 5 dharmas, 3 self-natures, 8 consciousnesses, and 2 no-selves. The Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra is profound in thought and vast in its system, but its core can be summarized in a single phrase. 5 dharmas, 3 self-natures, 8 consciousnesses, and 2 no-selves. This precisely constitutes the practice outline followed by both the Yogācāra and Zen schools. 1. The 5 dharmas, stages from delusion to awakening. The 5 dharmas outline the progression from illusory discrimination to ultimate reality across 5 levels. First, appearance, nimitta, refers to the characteristics and forms presented by all things, such as colors, shapes, and sounds. This is the most superficial level of cognition. Second, name, nama, refers to the various names and concepts established based on appearances. For example, upon seeing a red, round object, we give it the name apple. Third, discrimination, sakalpa, vikalpa. Based on names and appearances, we engage in thinking and judgment, giving rise to various discriminations and attachments like, this is an apple, that is an orange, I like this, I hate that. Ordinary beings dwell within these first 3 dharmas, trapped by names and appearances, bound by discrimination. Fourth, right knowledge, samyak jnana, the wisdom that transcends names, appearances, and discrimination. The sage contemplates all dharmas as they truly are, no longer deluded by illusory names and appearances. Fifth, thusness, Tathāgata, the realm of truth, the ultimate reality of all dharmas as they are. When right knowledge contemplates, the ultimate truth realized is thusness. The practice of the 5 dharmas is precisely the process of transforming the ordinary person's name, appearance, and discrimination into the sage's right knowledge and thusness. This is the very process of turning consciousness into wisdom emphasized by the Zen school. 2. The 3 self-natures, 3 modes of existence. The 3 self-natures, trisvabhava, are 3 aspects of cognition obtained by observing all dharmas from different perspectives. First, the nature of pervasive clinging, parikalpitasvabhava. The nature, or characteristic, that ordinary beings universally cling to and falsely imagine. For example, believing that a permanent self truly exists, or that dharmas, phenomena, truly exist. These are all false appearances subjectively superimposed on reality. Second, the nature of dependent arising, paratantrasvabhava. The nature that all phenomena arise dependently on causes and conditions, without independent self-nature. This is precisely the true aspect of the law of dependent origination, praditya samutpada. Third, the perfectly accomplished nature, parinipanasvabhava. The perfectly and fully accomplished true nature, which is the emptiness, sunyata, or thusness, tathāgata, of all dharmas. When one breaks through the pervasive clinging and sees clearly that the nature of dependent arising is originally empty and calm, that is the perfectly accomplished nature. The 3 natures teach us. What ordinary beings see is the nature of pervasive clinging, what sages see is the perfectly accomplished nature. And the principle of dependent arising, the law of causation, runs through them all. 3. The 8 consciousnesses, analysis of the mind king. The Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra provides a detailed analysis of the structure of mind, presenting the doctrine of the 8 consciousnesses. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, manovijnana. The first 6 consciousnesses correspond respectively to the 6 sense objects: form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental objects, dharmas. The 7th, manas, klayamanas. The defiled mind or ego consciousness. Its function is to constantly grasp the perceiving aspect, the inner self, of the 8th consciousness as an eternal I. It is the root of self-awareness and self-clinging. The 8th, alayavijnana. The storehouse consciousness. It contains all seeds, bija, serving as the fundamental support for all dharmas in the universe. It is both the basis for the cycle of birth and death, transmigration, and the foundation for the transformation of consciousness into wisdom. The sutra uses the great ocean as a metaphor for the alayavijnana, and the first 7 consciousnesses are like the waves. Although waves rise and fall, they are never separate from the ocean. Likewise, although the first 7 consciousnesses undergo myriad sengs, they are never apart from the storehouse consciousness. 4. The 2 no-selves, destroying the 2 types of clinging. The 2 no-selves represent the ultimate goal of practice. No-self of the person, pujalanaratmya. Eradicating clinging to a permanent self or I. It is the realization that within the mind and body, which are composed of the 5 aggregates, skandhas, there is no permanent, independent, controlling self. No self of dharmas, dharmanaratmya. Eradicating clinging to dharmas, phenomena, things. It is the realization that all phenomena, material and mental, lack independent self-nature and are empty in their essential being. The realization of the 2 no-selves is ultimate liberation. 5. Tathāgata, the Buddha nature inherent in all beings. Perhaps the most distinctive and easily misunderstood teaching of the Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra is the doctrine of Tathāgata. The sutra states, "The Tathāgata is by nature pure and clear, and enters into the bodies of all sentient beings, adorned with the 32 marks of a Buddha." This means that within the minds of all beings, there is originally a pure nature, identical to that of a Buddha. But it is merely covered by the defilements of afflictions, like a precious jewel wrapped in excrement. However, the sutra specifically cautions against misunderstanding the Tathāgata as a permanent self, Atman, or soul as taught by non-Buddhist schools. The Buddha explains that the teaching of the Tathāgata was expounded as a skillful means to liberate those who are afraid of the doctrine of no-self, anatman. The true Tathāgata is actually just another expression for emptiness and no-self. As the sutra itself states, the Tathāgata is precisely the no-self of dharmas. 4. The mind seal of Zen, lack and Zen. The reason the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra became the foundational scripture of the Zen school is that it perfectly embodies the school's principles and style. First, not established on words. The sutra repeatedly emphasizes that the ultimate truth, the first meaning, or paramartha satya, transcends words and language and must be personally realized. This is precisely the scriptural basis for Zen's special transmission outside the teachings, not established on words. Second, the Dharma gate of sudden enlightenment. The sutra uses the simile of an image appearing in a mirror, illustrating that enlightenment manifests suddenly, just as a mirror reflects myriad images simultaneously without any temporal sequence. This inspired the Zen doctrine of sudden enlightenment and becoming a Buddha. Third, this very mind is Buddha. The sutra emphasizes that all dharmas are mind only, and that all phenomena are manifestations of one's own mind. This aligns perfectly with the Zen teachings that this very mind is Buddha, and one's own nature is Buddha. Fourth, Tathāgata meditation. The sutra classifies meditation, dhyana, into 4 types. The meditation practiced by ordinary beings, the meditation observing meaning, the meditation realigning with thusness, and Tathāgata meditation. The Tathāgata meditation is revered by the Zen school as the highest state. Gui Feng Zongmi, in his Zen preface, stated that what Bodhidharma transmitted was precisely the supreme vehicle Zen, which is the Tathāgata's pure Zen. It was for these reasons that the first patriarch Bodhidharma used the Laṅkāvatāra Sūtra as the sacred scripture for sealing the mind, and instructed Huike. Follow its meaning and practice, and you will naturally attain liberation. It is said that the second patriarch Huike, third patriarch Sankhan, fourth patriarch Daoxin, and fifth patriarch Hongren all studied and transmitted this sutra through the generations. Only after the sixth patriarch Huineng did the Diamond Sutra gradually replace the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra in prominence. 5. Structure and outline, Muhammad's 108 questions. Although the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra may seem somewhat scattered, it is organized around the framework of Bodhisattva Muhammad's 108 questions. Muhammadi, on behalf of all sentient beings, poses 108 questions to the Buddha, covering all aspects of the universe, human life, practice, and Buddhahood. The Buddha's response is not to answer them one by one in a linear fashion, but to point directly to the source of mind, using the questions as a vehicle to reveal ultimate truth. The entire sutra is mainly divided into 10 parts, including entreating the Buddha to abide in the world, the 108 questions and answers. The state of sagely wisdom, the meaning of Tathāgata, birth and death, and nirvana, the permanence of the Dharma body, the momentary and the continuous. The transformation Buddha and the reward Buddha, and the cessation of great compassion through eating meat. The 10th chapter specifically discusses the prohibition against eating meat, which became an important scriptural basis for the vegetarian tradition in Chinese Buddhism. Conclusion. The Dharma gate of the mind ground, realized only through personal experience. The Laṅkāvatāra Sutra is a profound and intimate scripture. It is profound because it involves numerous theories such as consciousness only, Tathāgata, Dharmalaka, characteristics of phenomena, and emptiness, forming a vast system. It is intimate because all its discussions point to one goal, the mind we each possess in the present moment. The sutra repeatedly emphasizes that all practice ultimately returns to the manifested state of one's own mind, Svasiddhimatra. It is merely the realm manifesting within one's own mind. If one can truly observe the mind, not being turned by false discriminations, one can gradually enter the state of thusness. As a verse in the sutra states, the mind is like a skilled painter who creates various worlds. The 5 aggregates are all born from it. There is no Dharma it does not create. What this classic leaves for posterity is not a cumbersome theoretical system, but a path that points directly to the mind. If one can recognize one's own mind, one recognizes all Buddhas. If one can purify one's own mind, one purifies the Buddha land. This is the timeless and enduring wisdom of the Laṅkāvatāra Sutra.